Today I wanted to show you how I color with my chalks and Dove blender pen. This is one of my favorite techniques for coloring because you can get lots of color for a little amount of money with the chalk sets. I'm going to start by stamping my image, and this is a little Mabel image from the Angel Company. It's called Fall Fun, and it's just a cute little girl holding a pumpkin. So I stamped her with the Noir Palette ink pad. This is a great pad for stamping when you're going to color because it's a permanent ink and it dries quickly. So I'm going to open up my chalks, and the number one thing you want to remember with chalks is you always want to work lightest to darkest. So if there's anything that's going to be yellow or flesh tone on your image, you're going to want to color them first. Now for my girl, I'm using the earth tone set of chalks. So I'm going to color her skin with my flesh tone pencils. So I'll just take one of those pencils and just lightly fill in her skin. And I'll go back in when I'm all done and make sure I got all of her skin on here. But just to start up, to cover up that skin so it doesn't get any chalk on it. Alright, so next I'll go to my yellow, whatever I want to be yellow, and I'm going to give her golden hair. So I'm going to start with the yellow up here at the top of my chalks. And you just take your blender pen and wipe on your chalks, and you'll notice it leaves a little yellow or darker mark on the chalk, but it doesn't hurt it at all. When I color, I'm going to start where I want it to be the darkest first and work my way up to where it's the lightest. And that's a little hair there, so I'll make it a little darker because it's under the flower. So, okay, that looks good. Now to switch colors, I would just scribble off like this until it goes clear. Another tip for chalk using is keep your color as much to the tip of your nib as you can. This white portion of the pen is called a nib. You want to keep the chalk as much to the tip as you can. So when you're picking up color, don't lay your pen down like this. You want to stand up and pick up your color like that. I'm going to add a little bit of that same yellow to my pumpkin where the highlights would be. And then I'm going to go into this terracotta and start, like I said, where the pumpkin is the darkest, which would be the underside and along those creases. And just pull your color up to where it's lighter. And you can do little circles like this, or you can do straight lines. That's just a personal preference on how you like to color. I want a little more orange in here, so I'm going to go into the oranger color. Now one thing about coloring with chalks in the blender is there's only so much that you can put into the paper. Once you get it totally saturated, the paper is going to start to peel up, and it like the top layer peels up and it starts to form these little balls. So you want to be careful. Don't press too hard, and try not to go over an area more than once or a couple times at the most. I got a little green there for the stem. Now I'm going to do the plum color for her dress and the flower. So I'm just going to get a little plum here on my pen and start where I want it the darkest, which would be underneath her arm here. So I'll put a line of the dark and then come down along the edge of her dress because that's where it's going to be the darkest. And you can get a little more color, and I like to turn my piece so that I can always pull my color. It's just a lot more comfortable that way. Put that dark along the edge and then pull the color to the middle. Now the larger your image is that you're having to fill, like her dress area is pretty large. That's a little bit more difficult to get a nice even amount of color and the blend. So don't get too frustrated if it doesn't turn out nice and even on your first try, because it is a little more difficult to do the larger areas. Now I get a little more color and do her sleeve the same way. And while I have just a little bit of color on the nib, I'm going to color in the flower because I don't want it to be too much. Okay, and I'm going to make her shoes the plum color too. And then I'm going to scribble off a little and go into this green, make some grass under her feet. And then I can give her some pantaloons. Color those with a nice muted green. And I think she's all set. If you want to be really artistic, you can take a little of your plum and put it into the edge of your pumpkin where the shadows would be. But that step is really not necessary unless you just want to be fancy. And that's how I colored my little fall fun pumpkin girl from the Angel Company with my chalks and a Dove blender pen. Thanks for watching.